Hello everyone and welcome. Today I want to show off a game called Ruins of the Titan. This game is not in official launch, there is a public playtest that anyone can join right now. If you do decide to try out the playtest, at the bottom left of the menu is a survey you can fill out, and then at the bottom right you can join their Discord. I've been working with the devs since even a little bit before the public playtest came out. I got some early access to it, and I can say that they're very receptive to taking feedback and fixing bugs that you might find. That's weird, I've never had that kind of like lag spike happen before. Hopefully that's not something that happens throughout the rest of the run. But yeah, anyways, if you want a chance to try out the game early on and be able to help out with the development, even if it's just a little bit of feedback, I think they would appreciate the help. So what this game is an action combat roguelike. If you watch my channel from Entropy Effect, then you will feel very at home switching from Entropy Effect to this game. The combat style feels pretty similar to it. So the way that combat works in this game is it's pretty basic, and at least in the demo version, you always have the same inputs, no matter what. So, for example, you might switch out like your charged attack, which is hold the attack button. You might switch out the charged attack for a lightning version or a fire version, but it will always be that same input. Which makes the game very approachable, even if you don't play action combat games quite as often. You can still hop in and you can do pretty good combos. But at the same time, even with it being more of simplified action combat, it plays very well. The feeling of the combat is very smooth, even for it just being a demo. I think if they just take the combat system that they have right now and expand it with maybe a couple more possible inputs, and some more elements and some more stages and bosses, then it will turn into a very good game. I am really excited to see the full launch of this game. And then on top of having your basic moveset, you also have an execute button when enemies get low. It works similar to, I guess, like Doom's execute, because I'm pretty sure in the more recent Doom titles, when you execute things, it heals you. I think they're definitely going to have to nerf the healing that you get back from executing, because even when I've tried out some max difficulty runs, it feels like, unless I really get chunked down heavily, taking damage from the normal enemy rooms doesn't really matter, because I can just execute so much HP back. So then, as you progress through rooms, you'll have the ability to either select different elements to mix and match different movesets together, or you can take things like Attribute Buff and Combat Instincts. Attribute Buff are just flat buffs, and then Combat Instincts are different types of buffs, like healing or getting MP when you do crits, that type of thing. I'm definitely going to go for MP recovery. I think MP recovery is just very important right now. Something I'm not quite too sold on right now is the fact that normal attack moves can cost MP in this game, which sometimes It either really feels like you just have infinite MP, or the MP is too cumbersome to where you can't do you can't do like proper combos anymore. That doesn't happen too often, but I have noticed it happen with certain combinations of movesets. They already have a system where certain moves can have cooldowns, so I feel like you could just base... If there's, like, certain moves in normal attacks that are too powerful, you just give them a longer cooldown instead of giving them a longer... or giving them a larger MP cost. Especially because right now, I don't know if there's a low... You have something called a Divine Skill, which is like your main MP dump. Most of those that I've seen have been 50 cost, which is half your MP bar. So if you're using a little bit of MP for your normal attacks, and then you dump half your MP bar for a skill, it leaves you feeling like you're just really limited on combo options. So I'd probably like to see it where instead of just having one divine skill, you have multiple options for like up plus skill and down plus skill, for example. And then those are just your MP dumps instead of your basic combo moves ever costing MP. And then, like I said, if they ever need to... If there's like a charged heavy attack or something like that, that needs to not be casted so often, they can just use the cooldown instead of the mana cost. Let's go Magic Circle next. Even though I just fully upgraded the basically the down air or the lightning, I am probably going to switch it out for the summon circle thing, just because I really like how it works. It's funny, the first time I used it, or the first couple times I used it, I really didn't like it, and then it suddenly became one of my favorite moves in the game. So now instead of doing like a dive attack with my down air, I can do a volley of projectiles, which will get better after I can get another upgrade for them. Some moves in this game have upgrades to them, where you can get a second or even third tier of it. And then some moves even have different upgrade paths. I wonder if that's something that they're going to expand on in the future, or if it's just only going to be certain moves have upgrades. Because I really like the system. I especially like the part where the ones that you get to pick between different options. Like, for example, there's a move that summons swords that will normally rain down on top of the enemy. But with the upgrade paths, you can either upgrade their AoE range, or you can make them fly forward as a projectile instead of raining down. And I always like having really open-ended upgrade paths in games. That is one of the reasons why... this is gonna be... I've had to switch what my skill key input is on, so it's currently on... It's currently on when I push in my left thumbstick, which is... It's gonna throw me off, and I'm gonna do it on accident a couple times. Man, he went down real quick. And now I lost my train of thought of what I was talking about. I think I was just saying, like, I really like games that are open-ended when it comes to combat or upgrade paths, or both. So one thing I really like about this game when it comes to action combat is that there's no strict combos. You just have your moveset of whatever moves you decide to pick for that run, and then you basically make the combos yourself. There's never going to be like a strict order, like a fighting game, where you have set strings. Those have always been my favorite types of action games to play. I might go ahead and switch up my up attack. Even though I feel like this might have been one of the moves that was causing me to have more issues with mana. This up attack is very good, though. Just for the fact that it holds enemies in midair for so long, and you can basically just start comboing on them before the move even ends. We can get a summon as well that I will probably forget to use after the first time. I thought he did 2 slashes. Maybe he doesn't always do 2 slashes there. The cool thing about bosses actually like call out move names. So okay, this is probably trying to have having a skill input on clicking left thumbstick is really awkward, but I'm sure they'll fix that soon. Oh, there we go. I knew that was going to happen at some point in the run. But yeah, if you're decent at memorizing like move names, you can very easily know what bosses are going to do in this game. Another thing I really like about boss fights in this game, we actually haven't been able to see it because I've been killing the bosses too quickly. But there's basically a rage meter mechanic with boss fights, where once the meter is fully depleted, the boss will go into a stunned state, and you can actually start comboing them. I think they need to adjust the system, because like you could see in the previous fights... there we go again. Anyways, like you could see in the previous fights, I just end up killing the boss fights before they actually trigger their meter. Even in the max difficulty you can play on right now in the demo, that mechanic was only maybe triggering once per fight. Sometimes I could even kill him there before it triggers. I haven't been able to tell exactly how the mechanic works yet. It feels like sometimes hitting them will drain the meter, and sometimes it won't. And then other times it's just based on like when they use one of their moves it drains, maybe. It might be something that's boss dependent, where some bosses can drain when you hit them, and some bosses you have to wait until they attack. But I don't know, maybe there's just part of the mechanics that I don't understand yet. But I would like to see it be where if you're playing really aggressively and attacking bosses, even during their attack phase, you're getting a lot more of those breaks, so you have more chances to combo them. And then the way that I would do it, balance around that is that they just either have pretty high HP or they take significantly more damage when they're in their broken state and when you're doing your combos. I think that'd be a better way of making the boss fights longer while also giving the player a good opportunity to be able to do some like really long and fancy combo strings. Because one of the problems that games like this typically run into is that if you want to make like a lot of enemy rooms, normal enemy rooms, you have to make the normal enemies pretty low HP to avoid just like dragging out the run for too long. So you don't get a whole lot of opportunities to combo regular enemies for too long of combo strings at a time. And then you also can't really... You can't make bosses able to be comboed normally all the time. Otherwise, the player is just going to infinite any boss. There has to be some mechanic where the boss doesn't take hit stun. And that's where I really like the kind of break system mechanic, where the boss doesn't take hit stun, but then once you break them, you have an opportunity to do a big combo on them. So the system that they have in play for it is really good. I think it just needs some tweaking to where I think it should reward aggression a little bit more than it currently does. It should happen more often during the boss fights, and then the boss fights should just last longer to compensate for that. So I mentioned this earlier, but some attacks right now have multiple upgrade paths. So right now it would be a rain of swords that would drop onto the enemy, but if I take this upgrade path, then it becomes more of a projectile move. This is one of my favorite attacks in the game as well. I've always just like really enjoyed the summoned swords aesthetic. And then the sword rain is cool, but the forward thrusting swords are even better in my opinion, just in terms of rule of cool. And then from here, I'll even be able to kind of customize the move even further. Oh, when did I switch out my skill move? Oops. I didn't even realize I did that at some point. That's not a big deal, though. But yeah, we might be able to see it here. So now I can either go for increased casting speed on these, or I can take another upgrade that makes them last longer instead. I hope that's more of what they do with the upgrades going forward, because there's not a whole lot of things right now that have branching paths like that. A lot of them are just a linear path. Let's see if I can reroll a couple times. If you see something like restore max HP per hit on combos, or restore HP or MP during crits, those are just completely busted right now. I did see that they might have made it where how often it can proc is less now, but we'll see if that makes too much of a difference. So now here is the other option I could take. I could either have the swords last longer, or I can have them have a better cast time. You have to pick one or the other, unfortunately. Which, I say unfortunately, but it is probably a good thing to have just either option, rather than you can just take both every time. Let me see if I can mana dump on these enemies, and then... Yeah, you can see my skill just refunds its entire MP cost, even though the skill is taking half the MP bar. These are just way too powerful. They probably need a longer cooldown, and then just a reduction in how much they restore right now. Oh nice, I high rolled on ice there. Ice is also something that is just giga broken right now. So when the boss does the... It's called like Stonehenge something. You'll see that they have that kind of rock aura around them. Just don't approach them at all, because you will take... Not necessarily contact damage, but basically contact damage. You also have to be a bit careful on this boss if you're using a projectile move, because when they block right there, it will deflect projectiles, and you can do quite a bit of damage to yourself. I learned that the hard way when I was doing some max difficulty runs. If I feel up to live streaming one of these days, maybe I will try to live stream some max difficulty runs. They're not too... Difficulty's a weird thing to me. They're not too difficult, I don't think. It's just that they're very punishing in the boss fights in particular. If you mess up too much during a boss fight, your HP bar is just gone. You don't really have a whole lot of time to come back from things. I think the normal enemy rooms are still very easy on max difficulty. It's just the bosses that are a problem. It's a really awkward layout of enemies. I'm trying to kind of corral them together too, but they're just not wanting to cooperate. We should be nearing the point of where we're pretty close to getting done with the run too. I'm trying to remember if there's another area after this, or if I'm about to hit the final boss soon. The runs aren't too long right now, but it is a good enough run time to play around with the movesets enough and just get a good feel of the game. Looks like we do have another room. But after I get to this boss, should be when the run ends. Should be using my summon swords a lot more. It's one of those things where it's always hard in these games to remember what you have, especially the stuff you pick up later on in the run. Especially when I'm doing commentary on top of things. Uh-oh, I bugged it out. It's fine. I think it fixed itself there. There's a bug right now. I'm pretty sure what causes it is that you go to use a move like an execute or something that has a slowdown, but then you end up canceling that move somehow, and the basically like the trigger to end the slowdown just never gets triggered. But it usually fixes itself as soon as something else causes slowdown. So that's probably what's causing it. Should be pretty easy for them to fix. Here's the problem. I can't remember. I guess there's really not too much of a downside of I can take this and then oh yeah, I have my summon swords there. I hope they'll add a way to like easily compare what move you're selecting to the one you already have. That way it gets a little bit easier to manage what moves you're picking up and what moves you currently have. I don't think I want to really change out any of my other moves right now. So we'll just rock with what we have. Actually, we're at the final boss. This boss can be a real pain to deal with if you don't have good aerial attacks. Luckily, that's not really a problem in my case right now. Another thing I've noticed is that sometimes, like right there, for example, I'm pretty sure I triggered a perfect dodge, but I still took damage anyways. I saw a damage number. Oh, he high rolled on ice again. I've been trying not to use that move too much, just because of how broken ice is right now. I don't know if it doesn't have like any diminishing returns or anything, but it really feels like if you go a full ice build, you just full stun lock. I'm getting really lucky too. This hold attack is supposed to. I have the yeah. This hold attack is supposed to cycle through different, or not necessarily cycle, it's probably random, but it's supposed to choose from different elements, and I've been getting ice basically every time I use it. But anyways, that will be the end of what I can play on the demo, at least. As I said before, for a playtest especially, I think they really have the combat feeling down. And as long as they kind of expand it with maybe a couple more inputs you can do, so you have more of a full moveset by the end. Because it does feel like a little bit of a limited moveset, even at max moves, just because there's so few total inputs that you have. If they expand that a bit and add more elements and attacks, add more upgrade paths to things, and then add more stages for the full run, I think it's definitely a game to look out for, and it's going to be something I play on launch for sure, basically as soon as it comes out, as long as I have the money for it. I might even play it a little bit more before launch. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. One more time, if you did enjoy how the game looks, anyone can go and playtest it right now. I'm not sure when the playtesting ends, so I would just get in as soon as you can. And then If you do end up playing it, if you want to leave some feedback on either the document that is down in the bottom left corner of the menu, or if you want to visit their Discord and just leave a small feedback thing, they read everything that goes to the Discord and usually respond to it. And I'm sure the devs would greatly appreciate even just small feedback if you do 1 or 2 runs, and just tell them if you enjoyed the game, if you didn't, and what you enjoyed about it or not. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.